Okay, so uh, now you don't have your pen with you. You don't have a pen. You discover that you don't have a pen, and you have a person next to you. You are self, so we refer to you as self. We refer to the person next to you as other. Now, what are your choices in dealing with the situation or in dealing with the scenario that we have explained? Now, your first choice is to say something or not to say something. إذا أنت عندك أول خيار إنه to say something or not to say something. You can of course rummage in your bag, search rather obviously through your pockets, go back into your bag without uttering a word, but with the vague intention that your problem will be recognized. This say nothing approach may or may not work. Then your first choice is to say something or not to say something. If you choose not to say something, then you can rummage in your bag or search obviously in your pockets. يعني بتتظاهر بأنك تبحث عن القلم وين في حقيبتك أو في um, your pockets. Why? Because you want the addressee to understand that you don't have a pen and that you want him to help you or and give you a pen. So you are searching your bag and searching your pocket because your intention is that the problem will be recognized by the addressee. هذا هو الخيار الأول عندك. شو بنسمي هذا الخيار؟ We call this option say nothing, which is so this is the say nothing approach, uh, and it may or may not work. If it works, it is okay, but if it does not work, because the other uh, offers because the other does not understand what you are doing, you can have another choice. انت كنت تنتظر منه يعني انه يبادر بتقديم المساعدة. فانت خيارك الاول كان say nothing، انك تعمل requestive hint، تلميح بانك بحاجة لقلم، لكن ما انتبه. So why do people use this choice first? Because they want others to recognize their needs. They do not want to say their needs directly. But if they understand your hint, or if they can recognize you, or if the other can recognize your need in this situation, then we are so your action has communicated more than what is said. هذا برضه pragmatics. وهاي التلميح يعني الإنسان بحب دائما إنه ما يحكي لكن الآخرين يفهموا الأشياء اللي هو محتاجها بدون ما يقولها. So this is the first choice. If it is recognized, then it's okay. But what happens if the addressee does not pay attention to your action؟ شو اللي بيحصل إذا إنه الشخص اللي جالس بجنبك ما انتبه لحركاتك وما قدر يفهمها أو اختار إنه ما يفهمها، لكن أنت في نفس الوقت بحاجة لقلم. So your other choice is to say something. Now you are done with saying nothing. الخيار الأول ما نفع إنه you don't say anything. So your other choice is to say something. Your other choice is to say something. Let me go in the other slide. إذا الخيار الأول ما نفع، ما كان مفهوم. So that was called say nothing approach. Without uttering a word, you have the intention that your problem will be recognized, but the other addressee didn't recognize it. Many people prefer to have their needs recognized by others. Now we move to the other option, which is the say something choice, or and to say something off or and on record. Let's see your choices. Now, when you say something, you do not necessarily ask the addressee directly, give me a pen. There are other utterances that you might want to choose. So you do not necessarily need to ask for anything. You can perhaps after your search through your bag بعد ما كملت البحث simply produce a statement like the one in front of you. I forget my pen. Or I wonder where I put my pen. Now you have said something, but you haven't asked for anything actually. You haven't asked for anything directly. أنت ما طلبت أي شيء. Now these statements are not directly addressed to the other. أنت as self, you do not use statements to address the other. The other can act as if they have not even been here. So these and other simple types of statements are not directly addressed to the other or to the addressee. The other can act as if the statements have not been heard. يعني ممكن أنت تقول هذا الكلام وبرضه ما كلفت على the other أو the addressee. ممكن هذا الكلام يمشي ومر بدون أي انتباه منك، لأنه تقول I forget my pen، بس لكن أنا كسامع مش مطلوب مني إني أبادر وأقول لك تفضل هذا القلم، ممكن أتجاهل. So it's possible for me as other to ignore what you have said. Now, expressions like these or utterances like I forget my pen or I wonder where I put my pen are off-record expressions. are off record يعني تلميحات لكنها مش تصريحات. So these utterances are technically described as being off record. Off record. أو ممكن نسميهم in actual descriptions they might be referred to as hints. Once again, an off-record statement may or may not succeed, but if it does, it will be because more has been communicated than what was said. Okay, now in many situations, off-record statements or off-record utterances do not succeed in achieving your purpose of getting what you need. يعني أحيانا أنت لسه هاي التعبيرات ممكن ما تؤدي للمتكلم إنه يقول تفضل هذا قلم، انت ناس القلم. فانت انتقلت الان لمرحله تكون يعني شوي جريء وتحكي. بالبدايه ما حكيت، يعني انتظرت انه الاخرين يقدموا لك الاوفر بدون ما تحكي. الان ما زبطت الحركه الاولى. You move to another choice which is to say something off record. So off record, that tell me او hint, like when you say, oh I forgot my pen. Now you are not saying directly anything. ما انت لسه ما طلبت اي شيء بشكل مباشر، لانه الانسان ما بحب انه يعني يستخدم face threatening acts. بحب انه يستخدم face saving acts، وبحب انه يحفظ ماء الوجه، يعني بحيث انه ما يطلبش مباشرة. فهذا المتكلم قال oh I forgot my pen or I wonder where I put my pen. وبرضه ممكن نطبقها على اللغة العربية، والله ناسي قلمي، أو ناسي وين حطيت القلم. لكن ممكن الشخص الآخر يتجاهل وما يحكي أي شيء. Now, if this off record statement does not succeed, we have other choices. What are the other choices? We can now directly address the other as a means of expressing your needs. Int as self. Now you may choose uh, to be on record, not off record. How can you be on record? You can now use direct language to ask um, for what you want. On record expressions are like, give me a pen please, or lend me your pen. ما نفعت المحاولات الأولى. إذن the speaker or the self is likely to use on record or bold on record. بيسموها bold on record, or you choose to be on record. You can ask the addressee to give or to lend you her pen or his pen by saying, give me a pen or lend me a pen. Now these are bold on record utterances in which the speaker asks the addressee to give him or to give her a pen. Now, such expressions may be followed by or such utterances, I mean, give me a pen or lend me your pen, may be followed by utterances like please or would you. What do we call please and would you? We call them mitigating devices. We call them what? Mitigating devices. يعني أدوات تلطيف للكلام. لأنه لما بتطلب من المتكلم، من أي شخص بطريقة مباشرة، أنت بتشعر أنه you are using what? A face threatening act. يعني بتسبب له إحراج. A face threatening act. So you tend to use a mitigating expression like what? Like please, or could you please give me a pen, or could you give me a pen, could you lend me your pen, let me wait for 1 or 2 minutes. خلينا نوقف دقيقة أو دقيقتين للأذان. أوكي. Okay, now so now when you use direct utterances like lend me your pen or give me a pen, you may be tempted to use mitigating devices like please or could you. Now, these are mitigating devices because they soften the demand and because they reduce uh, the impact of the face threat that is caused by the imperative forms. الحقيقة لما أي واحد بيقول lend me your pen, this is a face threatening act. Why is it a face threatening act? because it embarrasses the addressee. Now, many people choose to use mitigating devices like please or like I wonder if you can lend me your pen or could you lend me your pen. Now, these are mitigating devices because they reduce the face threat or they make it easier. So, would you lend me a pen, please? In this example, you use a mitigating device like the ones that I have mentioned. When الآن بدنا ننتبه لأنه ما فيش الآن في البرزنتيشن any more slides we can explain from other sources. Now my question to you are all so the give me a pen or lend me your pen are imperative forms. Now, is it possible to say that imperative forms are generally less polite than questions, for example, or than indirect forms؟ يعني هل في ارتباط دائم بين the using of imperative language and what is called face threat؟ جاوبوني.
Yes.
يعني شوف هنا بدنا نكون حذرين الحقيقة. يعني imperative forms in requesting yes إذا استخدمناها في الطلب yes, but sometimes imperative forms can be used by close friends without being interpreted as face threatening acts or as comments. لكن أحيانا ممكن هذه الامبيراتيف فورمز ما تكون face threatening. بالطلب نعم لكن في in other situations no, like when you say to somebody have some more cake or drink this tea. Is this a face threatening act? The answer no, because you are actually not requesting the addressee to do something. You are actually offering the addressee something. انت بتقدم له إشي تعرض عليه إشي لما تقول له have more food or have more cake or يعني other examples. وكمان the use of imperative forms among close friends may not cause face threat to the addressee. إذا إنه كان الاستخدام بين ناس هم أصدقاء كثيرين أو بين أشخاص قريبين من بعض بشكل عام ما بيكون يسبب face threat ولا بيحتاج mitigating devices like when you say to your friend give me give me a pen please. Now so if the addressee is your friend or your intimate friend or your relative, it's okay to use the imperative form without using a mitigating device. Now we use mitigating expressions like please or could you please if the addressee is not our friend, if the addressee is a colleague, is an acquaintance or is a stranger. فإذا مش دائما هي imperative forms embarrassing. بتعتمد على العلاقة between the speaker and the addressee, and it is also determined by the size or by the amount of imposition that is used in the situation. Now, it's possible also to use commands with strangers or with colleagues, with acquaintances, with people who are not friends. ممكن نستخدم commands بدون ما نضع mitigating devices depending on the situation. For example, in emergency situations, you may use direct commands regardless of who is being addressed, as when danger prompts use of such expressions, like when you say, don't touch that, don't touch that. So there is a stranger in the room and he is going to touch uh, uh, let me say, um, an electricity wire, يعني السلك كهربائي. هذا يعني الشخص لنقل غريب ولا قريب ولا وقرب إصبعه من سلك الكهرباء. So you say مش please، ما بتتذكر تقول please. What do you say? Don't touch that. So because this is an emergency situation, you can use an imperative form without the need to use a mitigating device. So an imperative is a negatively effective speech act or is a face-threatening act to depending on the situation in which it is used. Now, do you have any question? Any question about how we use how we go on record and off record and about our choices in communications. خليني أنا أسأل، يعني أنت كمتكلم شو أسهل إشي عندك، إنه تلمح ولا تصرح في الطلب مثلا؟ أو شو أسهل شيء، إنك تحكي كلام ولا ما تحكي كلام؟ مين الأفضل يعني بالنسبة لك؟ تخيل الموقف. إذا بدك
إنه
تطلب إذا بدك تطلبي شغلة من زميلة في الصف، شو الأفضل، إنه تحكي مباشرة ولا تلمحي ولا what is better for you؟
نحكي إنه بشكل مباشر وبصريح ونطلب الطلب مثلا بداية بشكل مباشر.
أنت هيك بتفضلي إذا كانت ما بتعرفيها البنت مثلا هذه؟
لا، ما هو يعني أنت تحكي زميلتي يعني أكيد بعرفه في
زميلة
تواصل وهيك.
بتختلف عن صديقة، يعني بنت جالسة بجنبك في المحاضرة وما تعرفت عليها بالسابق، وبس هي زميلة
لا
يعني
ما
في
هو.
المحاضرة وأنت بدك شغلة منها، which
لا،
is
هيك بكون التلميح إنه أفضل.
التلميح لا شك طبعا عند كل الناس التلميح أفضل، وأفضل شيء إنه not to say anything، يعني أتحرك بدون ما أحكي، خليها هي اللي تبادر وتقدم المساعدة. So this applies to all situations. هذا لا قصدي this applies to many situations، مش بس في غرفة الصف، في أي مكان، يعني من أي شخص أنت بتشعر بحرج منه. Your choice is not to say anything. Now you go to the second choice, which is to give indirect language, to use indirect language. And if the indirect language does not work, you may use direct language and you may choose to use mitigating expressions. وبرضو كل هذا الكلام اللي بنقوله is governed by the relationship between you and the addressee, and it is governed by the nature of the situation, the setting, and it is governed by the amount of imposition that is involved in the interaction. كل هاي الأشياء برضو إلها يعني بحددها الموقف. طيب، يعني أحيانا شخص أنت شايفه مثلا لنفرض إنه إجا شخص مسؤول كبير عندكم على المحاضرة وقال كلام، يعني شرح كلام أنت ما وافقتي على الكلام. Now you may disagree with him by smiling or by using facial expression or by showing facial expressions like shaking your head. Okay, هذا أول خيار عندك، إنك ما توافق على كلام مسؤول كبير جاي بيشرح أو شخص كبير في العمر، إنه ما توافق معه by shaking your head. If the addressee does not understand what you say, you may use indirect language. But if it does not work, you choose direct language with mitigating devices. So these are our choices. I want you to keep remembering them, which is to go to say nothing, or to go off record, or to go on record. And the best thing is to say nothing. Now, politest, the second politest choice is to go off record. And the least polite choice is to go on record. By the way, the word polite كان ممكن تكون politer وممكن تكون more polite. Both are acceptable. Now I will stop here, and next time we will continue our discussion of positive and negative politeness. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please ask me. يعطيكم العافية.